Welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Monday here with my friend Ashiee. Tell us about what you do.
I am an ABA therapist, so I work with kids on the spectrum, and I basically teach them like replacement behaviors for behaviors that might not be effective to basically help them maneuver in the world a little better.
Can you tell us about the spectrum?
Like the spectrum is like autism, Asperger's. Like there's a wide, like the spectrum means like, because when you say spectrum, like when you think autism, you don't want to say it's not one definition of autism. Autism looks different on so many levels. Like some people, I don't want to say this, but like higher functioning, they might have more skills. We don't really like to say higher functioning because just because somebody is skilled in this area is versed in this area doesn't mean somebody else is more higher functioning than them, because they can do that better than them, because everybody has their own like things that they do really, really well. So you don't want to say higher functioning or lower functioning, but if you were to say higher functioning or lower functioning, like there's just as like higher functioning would be here and then lower functioning would be here, and then on the spectrum would be the different things or different milestones or things that they are able to do on their own, or different milestones they are missing or something like that. So like you can have somebody who is considered higher functioning on the autism spectrum who can talk to you, and then they might have like basic social skills and things like that. And then on the other end of autism spectrum for lower function might be somebody who can't speak or don't respond to their name or things like that.
Okay. How did you get into this business?
I started working for a company about 4 years ago. I started in an aftercare program. I was a teacher in an aftercare program at a school for special needs kids that also like had, neurodivergent and neurotypical. They were both in the same school, and so I started working there in the aftercare program as a teacher's assistant, and then I got promoted to the lead teacher, and then during COVID I transferred to the therapy side.
Okay. Can you tell me about neurodivergent? What does that mean or reference to?
Just like how your brain works. Your brain doesn't work as like the typical person's brain works. It's just you're just different.
Okay. What about the other word that followed it up?
Neurotypical. Just like your regular person, like the things that we would think like your normal person would be able to do, or how their brain would normally function. Okay. I'm doing this a lot because these are words that we don't really use in the ABA field.
No, I got you. That's why I'm like, hey, this is.
But I want people to understand. So.
Okay. So, when it comes to the children, what is the age group that you cater to?
I've not only worked with kids, I've actually worked with an adult. Like a couple, like I've worked with like some teenagers pushing adulthood. I've worked with somebody who was 25 before. But right now, I work with the ages between 3 and 9.
Okay. Do you notice any similarities between this group, or is every person and situation different?
It could just be different. Like I said, because the spectrum of these diagnoses are so broad. Like somebody who's 25 could be mentally like somebody who's 3, if that makes sense. So it's just a wide spectrum. Like you can't, when you hear autism or Asperger's or Down syndrome or something like that, you don't want to put in your brain what we have been programmed to think what that looks like from TV and media and stuff like that. Like everybody does not look like that. Everybody does not act like that. Like everybody doesn't have those missing puzzle pieces. Like everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Okay. In terms of the educational side, how has the training been for you? Like in terms of like, did you learn on the fly? Did they give you a book and say, hey, read this, this is our Bible?
So, to be like able to call yourself an ABA therapist, you need to get an RBT. So RBT? Before you can say you're an ABA therapist, you basically just call yourself a behavior technician if you're practicing without an RBT, like if you're working to get your RBT. But RBT is like a registered behavior technician. Basically, like you're registered for the board, the BCBA board. Basically, the ABA board, you're registered underneath of them to practice as an ABA therapist. When I first started working, like I said, I was in the aftercare program, so we did do a lot of trainings. Like my program that I work for makes sure that we are extremely trauma informed, meaning we don't, if that kid has any experience with like abuse or anything like that, then we program around that. Like, okay, we can't put our hands on this kid, or we can't sit this close to this kid because that's their boundary, or we can't do this goal with this kid because that's their boundary. So we make sure like they have autonomy. That's the right word to use. always, like, and also we teach them a lot to advocate for themselves. If they are all done, they can tell us they are all done. If they need a break, they can tell us they need a break. If they don't want to do this, they can tell us no. Like, so we are teaching them to, like, advocate for themselves when they eventually go out into the world as people on their own, as adults, and be able to, understand, like, how the world works and be able to advocate for themselves, because sometimes people with disabilities get taken advantage of. So we get a lot of trainings on stuff like that. Get a lot of trainings also on, like, certain diagnoses like Down syndrome or autism and stuff like that, so you know exactly, like, like, the basic things what that would look like. We're not learning that so that we can diagnose anybody. We're learning that just so, like, how we can operate around that demographic of person.
So the awareness is in the education.
Right. We do a lot of training. Once you get your RBT, you have to finish 40 hours of training. And that's just written trainings. And then you have to practice in the field more trainings before you can even take your test.
Okay, so this is thorough training. Like repetition over and over again.
Oh, yeah. And then you have to renew them. Yeah.
Okay, so how many times do you have to renew it?
Like I think we do trainings like every year, and it's like certain trainings we have to do every year. We have to go back in. It's like it's called like Reliance Learning. That's the one my company uses. Like we do trainings every year, especially like when I worked in the school, because we had to redo trainings on like how to clean and sanitize and stuff like that. And so because like some kids, like they're just like they don't know certain things. Like I know I've worked with kids who like salivate a lot and stuff like that, so you got to learn how to clean to make sure everything's clean. You have to learn how to like especially during COVID we did a lot of like cleaning trainings. Especially during COVID we did a lot of cleaning trainings. So but like trainings that you do over is like how to run a goal or how to run a retrial or what is a retrial, what is it, stuff like that. A retrial, like so if I was working and doing a goal and that say that kid didn't answer correctly or didn't do exactly what I wanted them to, I would give them like maybe like a distractor, like touch your nose, or give them something easy that I know that they can do, and then redo that goal again. Because when they don't do it correctly, I'm going to eventually tell them how to do it. So like if I wanted them to point to their foot and they aren't pointing to their foot, I'm going to take their hand and we're going to point to their foot together. And then I might say, touch your nose or where are your ears, and they might show me their ears, like, good job, friend. All right, where's your foot? And so, or where's your toes? And so I would see if they would remember what I taught them. And so you just keep, a lot of goals are like repetitive until they pick them up. It's like the same thing like for a neurotypical child trying to learn. Like if you're trying to learn how to tie your shoes, you're going to keep doing it over and over until you get it. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about self-advocacy when it comes to that demographic and community.
I feel like my company is really big on self-advocacy because especially in my experience, I've worked with kids like who are nonverbal, and so because they are nonverbal, they don't speak. They don't say any words. Yeah. Like they communicate. It's not that they can't communicate, because nonverbal people can't communicate. They just do not communicate with words. They might communicate through facial expressions, body language. They have different ways of telling you how they feel.
Differently from how we're used to paying attention.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I've worked with a nonverbal child before, and that's what I like working on, teaching my kids how to advocate for themselves, because all right, for this kid we use a talker because they don't speak, so like I said, they use different ways to communicate.
What's a talker?
It's a device, like it's an iPad that has like an app that he can press buttons and it will speak for him.
Okay.
So like say for example I take him to the playground or something like that, and like we'll be waiting for like the swing or something, and so there are other kids at the playground and they might not completely understand like what's going on to them. They like, he looks like a regular kid, so like we'll be waiting for the swings, and then like because now like he might have like some kids also, not only is it like a mental thing, like a brain thing when they're like a cognitive thing when with their diagnosis, sometimes it's also physical. And so if I had a kid who also had a physical disability, and I had like say we were at the playground and we were waiting for the swing, like some kids would just like push by, like or it takes that kid a while to get there, and so they might see that we're on our way there, but they know they're going to get there first, so they'll run and hop in or whatever. So I was starting to get accustomed to speaking for that child or for that client, like, hey, it's my friend's turn, hey, it's my friend's turn, but also eventually I'm not going to be here. This client's going to have to speak for themselves, like eventually you're going to have to like advocate for yourself. So I would teach that client like how to press my turn, or you know what I'm saying, like instead of me, I was becoming accustomed to speaking for that client, so now instead of me speaking for that client, we use his device to let people know, hey, like I'm a person, I'm here, I talk, like I can talk to you, I can play with you, like don't just ignore me, like 'cause so that's like what I mean, like people like on the spectrum, like getting their autonomy and like advocating for themselves, because a lot of time they're like ignored, or they're not even seen as humans or real people, and they are people and they have feelings and they communicate. Even if they do not use words to communicate, they still can communicate with you. It's just all about paying attention and like just being aware, that being like hyper aware, you need to be hyper aware that people are different, like even if they look just like you, like somebody can like walk up to you, be walking and look completely fine, and it's not like they are completely fine. First of all, like anybody on the spectrum or anything like that, they are fine. I don't like when people say like, what's wrong with them? There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. They're just born, like how I explain it, if I'm ever out with a client and somebody asks me like, what's wrong with them, I'm like, there's nothing wrong. They're just, some friends are born and they need a little extra help when they're born, and this is just a friend who needs a little extra help. Like there's nothing wrong. But that's why what was I saying? I got sidetracked on the nothing. I want y'all to know that there's nothing wrong. It really like burns me up when people are like, what's wrong with them? I'm like, there's nothing wrong. Like if I had a client like, because like they have like physical things, they might not can't walk far, so they gotta sit in a stroller, and I've had people come to me like, kind of big, isn't he? Like, mind your business. Like, come on.
Obviously, everyone's fight is different.
Like, come on. So that's also why we teach them to advocate for yourself. We teach you whatever you want to tell. If you want to tell somebody that you're on the spectrum, we'll teach you how to have that conversation. If you don't want to tell somebody on the spectrum, we'll teach you how to navigate around somebody trying to ask you questions that you aren't comfortable answering. Like, so, like, we just teach them the things that, like, come naturally to the neurotypical people. We just teach them so that when they go out into the world, they're able to do the same things that we do. Like, go to the store and buy food and make sure they have all their change, or catch the metro, be able to get to their destination, or use their phone to let somebody know, like, or if they're working and they're older, let their boss know I'm going to be late or I'm on my way, or like just communicate, just so that they can just live in the world like that's not built for them.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of the world not being built for them, are there resources that people could look into to educate themselves?
Absolutely. First of all, Google is free. Please do not go to somebody with a disability and just be asking them a billion questions. Like, that's their personal business. Google is free.
Do you know credible websites on the web?
Definitely, like, I wouldn't say, like, I know credible websites on the web, because, like, a lot of my trainings and stuff like that, like, I get it strictly from work. I haven't had to, like, go online. Like, all of this stuff is, like, mapped out for me. Like, I have had to, like, Google certain, like, diagnoses of my kids, but it's not, like, a certain, like, website. I use Google myself. Like, if I get a kid and they have a diagnosis I've never heard of, which has happened, I will Google it and figure out, like, of course I get, like, an assessment of that kid and, like, their background and stuff, but, like, if I'm, like, completely lost, like, I've had a kid with a diagnosis I had never heard of, and so I had to literally, like, learn. I even, like, asked my boss to, like, put me in a class so that I could learn more about how to cater to this kid. So, just, like, if you are ever curious about ABA therapy or what it is, or, like, if any words you heard me saying you are curious, just type it in Google. Google is free. Also, my job will be, like, we're working on building a social media and things like that. So,
does the job have a social media yet?
Not yet. Okay. But we do have a website. It's Basics ABA Therapy. We do have a newsletter. It is on that website. I have an article on there. Okay. It's about natural environment goals. Those are goals you run. Natural environment goals are goals you run in a natural environment. So, like, things that would already happen. So, like, if I I'm outside walking with the client and we are working on tackling, that means labeling something for me. And so we're outside and I'm like, what color is that car? And they're like, blue. We're outside already. That's a natural environment. We were walking up on that car. It was already right there. I used that car to run my goal. Or if they have, like, siblings, using those siblings to run social skills goals. Like, can you hand this to your brother? Or can you give this to your mom? That's natural environment. Mom and my brother are already here. I don't have to set that up. That's already here. And so that also helps with, like, generalizing skills and stuff like that. So when you run it in the environment, they learn, like, it's just generalized. Like, these are my, like, I hand my brother my toy And then if I go outside and I teach that kid, oh, it's a kid there, can you hand him that toy? I generalize that goal. So in my house, I hand friends my toys, but outside, I also hand friends my toys. Like, I share everywhere. Or I walk up the stairs in my house, but I also walk up the stairs at the playground. Just generalizing the skills. Like, so running them in natural environments is also good so that they don't even know that they're working for real. They're learning and don't even realize that they're learning.
Okay. What are some practices that parents can instill in their home in terms of educating kids when it comes to that demographic?
I definitely say, like, please, like, inform your children that everybody is not like them. Please teach them to not stare.
Yeah.
Like, that's not okay. I experienced that a lot. Staring is never okay, because even though that they can't verbally say something, they are people. They see you staring. They feel when you're looking at them weird. Like, they know. So if your kid, like, is curious, please, like, teach them, like, it's okay to go ask a question. Make sure the question is appropriate, but it's okay to go up to a person and ask a question. Like, I've had people come up to me, like, little kids come up to me and like, can I play with him? Yeah, of course. Like, been watching from afar, like, hey, and they like, not
Do you
just
have to set ground rules sometimes?
yeah, because like just because like my kids can, not just my kid, but clients in general can have different behaviors that we haven't quite fixed yet. So, you know, I give like little warnings, maybe like, yeah, you can play with my friend, but they can't do this, this, and this, or we can only do this and this type thing, so they know like the boundary to stay in. Or I might teach them how to communicate with that client. You can ask my friend, like, I know with nonverbal clients, I'll use the 2-hand thing. I'll do you want this or this? And you'll tap the hand that you want so that we communicate. So I'll teach kids at the playground, like, if you want to talk to them, you can ask them, do you want to play on the swing or do you want to go on the slide? Like, and so that they can communicate and they can play too.
Oh, that's fascinating. That's super fascinating. That's actually a really good system. You did that and I was like, oh, that works so well.
Yeah, it works. It does work. It's very easy. And the kids, like, it's very easy. Like, it's really easy. I can just, do you want to play with me? Yes or no? Yes or no. And they'll tell you.
When it comes to the business side of things, let's speak on that for a bit. In terms of not how much you're paid, but the handling of the management side of handling these kids and concerns that you may have when it comes to the field. So, like, hey, I make a suggestion, are my words being heard?
I think that, like, also is like comes hand in hand, like, with the company you're working for. The company I work for isn't like a bad company. It's a decent job to work, but sometimes I do feel like it's a lot. Like, the job is a lot. It's like, sometimes people ask me, like, is your job hard? And I'll say, no, it's easy. And it's like, because I've been doing it for so long, it's not the hardest thing. But for somebody new coming to ABA therapy, it is a lot, especially depending on what kind of client you can potentially have. You can have a kid who just needs help making friends, or you can have a kid who you need to help them do everything. Like, so it can be different ones. And then you can have multiple kids. Like, you might have a kid who doesn't need as much help and it's a fairly easy session, or you might have like all kids who, like, you are working out. So burnout is like an issue that I always like try to watch myself is, because I did experience burnout.
How did you handle burnout when you experienced it?
I didn't know how to handle it. I had to like take off work. Like, eventually, like, I had to sit down, like, my supervisor, like, I need some days, like, off. Like, I can't, like, I'm burning out, and, like, I can't be a good therapist if I'm not good to myself. Like, I can't, like, kids feel emotions. Like, if I'm coming in burnt out, like, my kid's gonna feel that. And so I don't want to come to somebody's house or go to somebody's school and I'm not me. Like, you gotta go in happy. You gotta go in, like, my kids, like, I sing and crawl on the floor and roll and jump in leaf piles and do a whole bunch of stuff. And if I'm not happy, I'm not gonna want to do any of that. So I've really had to learn, like, to take mental health days. Like, calling off used to give me severe anxiety. Also, not only because it's my job, but because I grow attached to my kids, and, like, I always want to, like, be there to help them progress. And so I know calling off, like, sometimes with certain kids, like, when you throw off their schedule, it could throw them off. So you might not find yourself not wanting to do that in fear of throwing off your kid, but also if you are not healthy, you cannot help that kid. So I had to learn to, like, really take mental health days, like, call off, like, even if it's just like one of your sessions. So, like, if I have to, I might call off for the morning one and go to my evening one or something like that. But I had to really learn to call off, because I would not call off. I would just consecutively work. Like, I've worked through, like, ear infections and sicknesses and stuff. It was not healthy. I had to, like, really learn. like I need to like start putting myself. I'm getting older, and at that, like I'm not 21 anymore. I'm on the other side of 25. I need to really start taking care of my body before it burns out on me. Especially like in this job where you can do so many things. Like, please also, if you ever want to be ABA therapist, wear comfortable clothes. I go to work every day in leggings and t-shirts because there's no telling what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like a very hands-on therapist. Like I go to the store and buy water guns and toys and a bunch of stuff. Like I'm playing too. So.
Yeah. You're enjoying them with the moment.
Yeah, you gotta have fun at your job.
Yeah.
Especially like during COVID, it was just me and the kids. Imagine hanging out with a kid who don't talk to you 8 hours a day.
How did COVID?
You gotta figure it out.
How did COVID affect the business of ABA therapy in terms of where it was done and how it was handled?
Oh, so COVID like really like pushed everybody like the company I work for used to be like a really like together company. Like we would have like company outings and like hang out and things like that. But COVID really like pushed everybody like into their own bubbles. Like I strictly worked from this, like for the longest time I had one client and I strictly worked from this client's house and I only saw this client, and it came to a point where I had to see this client for 40 hours a week. And that's when I started burning out. Because like 40 hours a week might not sound like a lot for like a regular job, but a job where you are extremely active and so many things can happen, you have to do so much. 8 hours is a lot.
Yeah.
So, and then suppose 8 hours like back to back to back every day, and all you really talking to is a little kid. Like you start to get a little stir crazy. Like we went outside a lot. Like so when I was working in COVID and I only had one kid and I was working out that kid's house, like we went outside a lot to the playground, outside in the community, went on walks because I had to keep myself like stimulated. And so because if I get bored and I get stimulated and I get sleepy and I start to shut down, then like session's not going to go as good. So I also got to keep myself stimulated. So that's why I also go to the store and buy like a lot of like sensory toys and like paints.
What's a sensory store?
Sensory toy.
Yeah.
A good way to explain a sensory toy is like slime, like something that like feels good, if that makes sense. Like there's like sensory seekers and sensory avoiders. So a sensory seeker is like looking for stuff that like feels good. So a sensory seeker loves slime, loves like any like mass, might like to play in dirt, like might like to jump off things and like type things. But a sensory avoider might not like loud noises, so you might see somebody who like covers, like if they hear a siren, like they may cover their ears up. They might not like to touch slime. They don't like tags on their shirts or like things like that because they don't like that sensation. But a sensory seeker likes that stuff, so they might like squeezes, they might like all of that extra stuff. But a sensory avoider might not like to hug type thing.
Okay, so
if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. In terms of boundaries, how do you practice your boundaries in this area that you work in? Because I heard about burning out and you realize, oh, I can't be burning out like that. That's kind of wild. I deserve better. But outside of fighting burnouts, are there things that you do for your job as a person, for yourself personally, that's like, I need to do this weekly to keep my sanity?
I'm working on that. Okay. Like I said, like not only like do I work like with kids like who are neurodivergent, I might possibly be neurodivergent. Like I got my own like mental health issues and stuff like that. So it's also me learning how to take care of myself while I'm like, because I'm always been the type of person to actively take care of other people. Like I've been working with kids since I was in high school. Yeah. So it's just me learning, and then like I moved out during the pandemic and stuff. So it's like me learning how to take care of myself. Yeah. I got to learn how to be an adult and take care of myself.
And being an adult is not fun.
It's not.
Yeah.
Those are not fun.
I love how everyone agrees, being an adult, it's not fun.
But I'm proud of myself. Like I moved out in the pandemic and I got to maintain it. We're still in the pandemic, but I moved out like August 2020.
Yeah.
And so we still thugging it.
Okay. As a therapist, when people ask you if you're a therapist, are there ever awkward moments of people will tell you that doesn't count as therapy in your craft or field?
No. I've never had that. I've never had anybody, if I tell them, I'm like, I do ABA therapy. I've never had anybody say that that's not therapy, because maybe I get that vibe, I'm not the one. Because, what? It's definitely therapy. Like, it's prescribed by a doctor. They have a prescription for how many hours they're supposed to get. Like, it's definitely therapy. Like, no. Like, a lot of people, like, when I tell them I do ABA therapy, or, like, I work with kids on the spectrum with special needs, they like, God bless you. Like, because it couldn't be me. Like.
Okay, so what are your views on mental health outside of where you work? As a community, let's just speak on what's going on in the world right now.
I feel like a lot of people right now, like, our mental health is, like, not doing so good.
Okay, give me examples.
Like I said, like, after we were talking earlier, like, that balance of, like, I know I'm not alone, like, in that balance of, like, trying to, like, go back to living your regular life, but also being worried about catching COVID, and also, like, the demographic of kids I work with. Like, I really worry about, like, getting sick, like, with anything, really, and, like, passing it on to one of my kids, because they might have other health issues that could cause that to be a real issue. So, like,
guilt you were describing earlier, and being able to take trips and live your life.
Yeah. And so, like, trying to just, like, get back to, like, regular life and, like, living, and, like I was, like, for a long, like, I went all 2020 without linking anybody. I linked the same 6 people. Like, the same 6 people. Like, I didn't, and I just started, like, seeing other people in, like, 2021 and, like, going out, like, so. But, even with that, like, I'm not at every function, and I'm, like, very careful about, like, the ones I go to. And especially, like, I go to ones, like, the ones where the people, I know, for the most part, I know they're gonna be there and be around, because I know that we are all, like, practicing as much as we can, like, trying to find that balance of being safe and still living our life.
I've been staying out the way.
Yeah, I was like, it's real hard trying to find that balance, because every time you look up, it's some type of other variant, and so, so it's a lot, and so, like, I'm just, like, trying to find that balance of, like, that work-life balance, which is kind of hard to do.
Okay.
Because I work a pretty, like, the job is kind of demanding, like, and so, like, I can get off work and be, like, really tired. I work 6 days a week also, so me finding that time.
6 days a week.
Yeah.
What is that one day like? Like, tell me about the day off. Is that a chore day? Do you have groceries delivered to the house?
I do Instacart a lot now, because who has time to go to the store? Not me. Sometimes I run to the store after work, because near one of my clients is a Trader Joe's, so if you were talking, so I might run there. Yeah. But for the most part, we Instacart, or, like, my day off, alright, so you said, what's my day off? Like, it's Sunday, because normally I get off at, like, 3 o'clock on Saturday, and then I go home and I sleep, and so I might wake up in time enough to do something, might not. So, then on Sunday, I might wake up kind of late. Like, I'm a sleeper inner. I might wake up. So I've been trying to wake up earlier, because I don't have that many hours to myself. So I'm trying to, like, wake up earlier. So I might get up. Depends. Like, some days I might not do anything. Or, like you said, like, might just do laundry or, like, stuff around the house. Or, like, because it is my only day off, sometimes I might, like, go out to eat or brunch. Or if there's something to do that day, I might try to do that. Because on Mondays, I don't work super early in the morning, so it's not that bad. Like, luckily on Mondays, I got to fix my schedule that on Mondays, I don't have to get up, like, super early in the morning. I sleep fairly late, on Mondays, so I don't, if I do go out on a Sunday night, it's not terrible going to work on Monday, because I don't have to get up early in the morning.
Okay. Do you have a self-care routine?
No. No, I'm, like, I take care of everybody else. I take care of 3 kids, and I'm not that good at taking care of myself. But I'm really working on it. I used to, like, have a membership at a spa. Shout out Georgetown Allure if you're looking for one. But I had to cancel it because I didn't have time to go. And so I was, like, paying for it, but I was never going. And so, I ended up having to cancel it. I'm trying to find time to, like, reinstate that. So I just go get, like, facials, and, like, I know Georgetown Allure, you pay $150 a month, and you can pick any service plus an add-on, like, anything. You get a massage, a facial, anything. Just, like, $150 a month, though. And, like, most of the time, these services cost, like, $200 plus, so I felt like it was like pretty cool. And because I've been paying for it for monthly, and I hadn't been going, like I had stacked up like 4 services, so I ended up like spacing those out. But I haven't just so
you had a schedule prior to everything that happened.
Yeah.
Where you had like something once a week.
Yeah. Oh no, I used to go once every 2 weeks to go get a facial. Because like I used to do, it's like you get one a month, but because like I didn't always go, like I had a few of them combined. I used to go like maybe like once every 2 weeks. But if also I think you can like pay for an extra service and it wouldn't be like the same amount as if you paid for it by yourself, if you remember. Yeah. So it was cool.
You planned for these.
Yeah, I would plan those in advance. Also like I'm really like big on getting my nails done, because that's my me time.
Yeah, look good, feel good.
Yep. So I'm really big on getting my nails done. That's my me time. So I will cancel whatever to go get my nails done. I don't play. I need to get my nails done. So
Miss Beth's gonna get what she gonna get.
I need it. But I'm working on a self-care plan, really. Like I was talking to like my one of my friends about like waking up and like starting to like do yoga and stretching, because I can feel like my work in my body. Because I'm like doing like one of my kids has gross motor, like so like running or like jumping or walking, that's gross motor. Fine motor is anything you do with your hands, like writing or picking things up. One of my kids has a lot of gross motor issues, and so like I have to do a lot with my body to help them.
High energy.
Yeah. Like I gotta do, like I gotta help them walk and go to the potty, and like they're not small. They are a little big. So like it's like I'm lifting like 60 pounds every day, like multiple times a day.
They may be 3 in the head, but 8 years old in the body.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So heavy. So you gotta take it. Like I'm trying to learn how to like take care of myself and make sure I like figure out the best times to like do stuff for me, because I have 3 clients now. So
yeah, what kind of load is that for someone like you in your position? Is that considered a heavy load, a light load? So like how much time?
Like before COVID, it was like normal. Like you would have 2 to 3 kids.
Yeah.
It's normal. But since COVID, like most people have like 1 or 2. I have 3.
So how many hours per week is that?
If I work them all, I work about 34 hours a week. So pushing 40, but not quite 40. I was like, because I couldn't do 40. I was like, I can't do 40.
Emotionally speaking, does that take a toll?
Yes. Because like you spend a lot. I feel like especially if you're not feeling like yourself already, like I spend like all of my happy chemicals on my kids. Because like if I wake up sad, but I can't go to work sad, so I gotta find all the serotonin and all the dopamine and use it on my kids. And then I might come home and not feel so great, but at least my kids were okay.
After a long day like that, how do you refill on yourself? Like, is there like a daytime show you're like, all right, let me get the tea?
Oh yeah, no, we watch Ratchet TV. I don't know if y'all got Zeus, but y'all should be watching Chance's show, man. We gotta watch that Ratchet TV. Or like, I was on social media. I think somebody texted me and was like, "You need to stay off social media." I was like, I literally don't do anything but work until I get off. Yeah. So if I'm gonna be habitually sending you tweets that I find funny, I need you to deal with it, because this is my fun time right now. This is all I got. This is all I got.
We in this together.
But between 7 and 11, that's all I got. That's all I got. Because I'm back at work tomorrow, and I don't like to get up and like do stuff before I have to work, because I like to have all of that energy, because you never know what kind of day you're gonna have. So
what's your wake up routine?
Some days when I'm like feeling pretty good. Well, no, this is every day now because I have a dog. So
okay. All right, shout out to the pup. You want to say the pup's name?
His name is Bentley. He's not a puppy. He's an old man.
He's an old man. Okay, Bentley's old.
He'll be 11 in February. He's old.
Oh, Bentley's old. Yeah.
But because like now I've had him for like, my dad used to have him, but I have him now, so I've had him for like 3 months. So now like my wake up routine is like, he cries at like 7 a.m. to go pee.
Bentley is set. He is in his ways.
Yeah, he's 10. So he cries at like 7 a.m. to go pee, so I gotta get up and take him outside. And then I might come in, and depending on how sleepy I am, I might be able to go back to sleep and then get back up like around 10 and like get in the shower and like get dressed for work. Maybe eat something if I ain't been BSing. Sometimes I be BSing. Sometimes, you know, you wake up and you know if you get up right now, you have enough time to do all the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
But I want to stay right here until that last second. So sometimes that's me in the morning, like I wake up and lay in the bed till I'm late. But so I just like walk my dog, get in the shower, get dressed, call an Uber, or walk to the station.
Okay, shout out to Uber. Uber be holding us down. Uber be holding us down.
They be taxing us too.
Ooh, yeah, you know,
They
so
be
I started using
taxing
it.
us
I had to give it a break. I was like, I'm just.
Yeah, I started catching the train. I catch the train now sometimes. Like, I was like, all right, y'all wildin'.
I'm like, you know what?
I told my dad to teach me to drive. I was like, all right, Dad, it's time to teach me how to drive.
Also, if you wanted suggestions on folks that you can do yoga with, my friend Jasmine, she's starting a platform called Saving Space for You. It's a really good platform. I put her in my IG store if you want to check that out. I had to take the phone out because I was like, I gotta remember this platform. Yeah, she's been practicing yoga for a little bit under 9 years. She's done an amazing job. She does work between Virginia, DC, and a couple other places. So just keep that in mind. Like, you have options. I have folks for
I was like, I need to. Also, like, I know you like know a few therapists. I could use one.
Yeah.
My anxiety is trash.
I have some beautiful therapists you can work with. After this whole thing is done, I got you. You know, I'll shout them out, some other time, but I got you off camera.
Like, my anxiety has to go. I was like, it's gotten worse since I've gotten older. I don't know if anybody's experienced that either, but like, my anxiety has gotten way worse since I've gotten older.
It's not fun. It's I think the way that everyone copes is different. So right now, because I'm creating so much content for next year, that's why I'm shooting everything now. I just spend less time with people because I don't want folks to be exposed to an edgy version of who I am. It's like, nah, you're just doing a lot of things. So if you're doing a lot of things in one area, be careful in the other area. That's how I handle myself. It's not the same for everybody else.
Yeah, that's how I know I was getting burnt out because everything was getting on my nerves.
And like why am I this angry?
Like, I'm pissed. Like, I'm livid. Like, somebody didn't rinse the toothpaste out the sink. I'm livid. And I was like, it's not that deep. Like, or I came home and ain't no more juice. I'm pissed. Like, but it's not that deep. It was something else. Like, I was like,
behind you, I have a bunch of juice. It's tough because juice got juice. Okay. On God, no cap.
But it's like the little. That's how you know, like, when you feel like you know you're getting burnt out. Like, the little things just start to irk your nerves.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I was getting into a lot of like petty arguments with my dad, and I was like, it's not. I was like, this is not
now you just
me.
You just need more outlets. And I mean, it's not that simple. Like, therapists, I think a lot of folks, when it comes to therapy, they're like, therapists are the solution. No, they're a way towards the solution.
Yeah, you guys need to work yourself.
Therapy is for understanding, and they'll give you the tools, and you choose to, use those tools or not give a fuck. Whichever one comes first. It's just, we all got options. You know what I'm saying? So, that's it. But I got you.
I was like, I'm one of the kind of people who gives out really good advice and looks out for everybody and stuff, and then go in my room and it's like, all right.
Crying to a pillow, screaming to some covers,
Now I'm just gonna
maybe put on some fuzzy socks. Covers are nice.
I don't do anything. I don't know.
I gotta wash my covers after this. They smell like me.
I was like,
they're cozy though. They're cozy. They're heavy joints. When you a big dude, you got the heavy covers. Covers are real. All right, it's very necessary. But okay. So before we wrap this up, what brought you into the mental health field?
Because as a kid, I didn't feel always super supported, and so when I started working with kids and stuff like that, I was I always want to be that person they feel supported by. So I'm pretty sure a lot of my kids probably gonna remember me as that teacher when they grow up. I gave all my kids nicknames and everything. I'm pretty sure they take them with them. So I'm like I said, when I'm a hands-on therapist, a hands-on teacher, I'm really active in my kids' lives. When your kid is with me, I'm their mom, low key. They gonna be safe, and ain't nobody gonna play with them.
Know who they are.
And they know. When they with me, they safe, and I ain't gonna let nobody play with them. I'm full mama bear mode when I have any of y'all children. Period.
Yeah. When it comes to other folks within your field, have there ever been moments when you say to yourself, "Hey, I should correct that person on this because this is important"?
Yeah. I do. Also, when I had a client and then I ended up, we were going to split some hours between me and another therapist, I literally wrote her a whole, log of, he does this behaviors, he does this, they do this, they want this. I literally, I don't know about anybody else, but we personally keep a spiral notebook where every day I go to my session, I write down everything we do.
Okay.
So, my job ever try to cover me, I got it written down. I keep my paperwork, period. So, and also, if I get another, I said, I share a kid with another therapist. And so, if if say they're new to the company or they haven't had a kid like this on their caseload, like I literally have a play-by-play book of this kid for you. You can have this. Like I always want to support also my fellow therapists like that. Like if I can, like I've used pictures. Like I've drawn. This is how his body should be positioned when you're doing this activity type thing, and like sent it, or I've recorded videos while I'm working that session and like, hey, this is what we did, so everything is the same across the board. This is how you do this with him. This is what this looks like. This is what this looks like. So everything's the same. Like I'm very big on like supporting other therapists so that we're giving the same amount of therapy.
Okay.
Now what they do when I'm not there, I don't know.
What's the importance of your therapy community, the folks that you work with and the people that you learn from?
This job was like important to me anyway, because like even though like the trainings taught me how to like deal with like people on the spectrum, that demographic, it also taught me like things about myself and how to deal with the people in my life. Like I grew up a lot working for this company. Like I grew up a lot. Like there was a lot of things like I didn't know or things like that, and I learned by working with these people at the company that I worked with and like being cool with these people. Like I learned like we did trainings on like teaching kids emotional regulation, so I learned how to do emotional regulation because I didn't always really good at communicating. Like I'm literally teaching kids how to communicate their feelings, and I'm not good at it. So I'm literally learning myself like how I can teach these kids how to do this, like, but at the same time I'm taking that and like using it in my real life.
So would this count as emotional intelligence?
What do you mean?
In terms of teaching kids how to recognize and express?
Yeah, definitely teaching them emotional intelligence.
Okay.
And also like I said, their own personal emotional regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I teach kids like how to like calm down and things like that. And, like I say, communicate like if you need a break because you are upset, or tell me you're mad or anything like that. So I also like if I'm teaching kids how to do that, and I'm like actively watching trainings on how to teach kids how to do that, I'm also learning how to do that because that's something I didn't know how to do myself.
Okay.
Like I was like, I can't teach kids how to advocate, and I don't know how to advocate. I was learning how to advocate.
You know we call that, right?
I also learned to be way more patient.
Okay.
Because in the job, you have to be patient. Nothing's tomorrow. Like, you're not going to bring a goal to a kid and he's going to be fine tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes that might happen. Mm-hmm. But not all the time. Sometimes some goals might take months to learn. So I just learned to be patient.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With, like, people in general. I also learned, like, to, like, when I'm having conversations and, like, talking to, like, try to be calmer. Like, if that makes sense. Like, especially if, like, because I have to, like, even if I'm upset with my kid, like, they could have smacked the shit out of me today, and I'm pissed. But I can't be mean to them. Like, I can't, like, you know, like, I'm saying, like, if your kid smacked you in the face, you were like, no, I can't do any of that. Like, I have to teach them a replacement behavior, because obviously they're doing that to get a certain need met, and they can't communicate that, so I have to teach them a replacement behavior. So sometimes I get smacked in the face, and I learn, like, in that, like, because I can't get upset, like, I literally have to, like, remain in my body. I learned that, like, being out with people, because sometimes people try you, and because I have these trainings on talking to kids on the spectrum and, like, dealing with certain behaviors, when y'all adults, people start acting stupid, I can just sit there and look at you.
Yeah.
And be able to, like, control myself and, like, think about what I'm going to say before I say it and type things more like that, because I was, like, struggling with that too. Sometimes I still struggle, but I've gotten a lot better with thinking about, like, keeping my cool sometimes, or being able to, like, even with my dad, like, I learned a lot how to deal with my dad working this, because my dad has a mental illness, and so, like, working this job helped me build a better relationship with my father.
Okay. I never knew that. That's, eye-opening. Let's talk about staying within yourself. You mentioned that, and I feel like that's very important to touch on, and the value of that.
Like, everything don't need a really big reaction. Like, you can get your, like, I'm teaching kids they can get their needs met without these big reactions. So I can get my needs met without screaming and hollering. Like, I can have a conversation with you without a really big reaction, because that takes away from what I need. Yeah.
Big reactions was them communicating?
No, like, if they, like, hitting me, or, like, they're throwing things. Like, obviously you want to communicate something to me, but instead of communicating effectively, you were doing all of this. And, like, in all of this, what you actually need is getting lost. Like, what you are trying to communicate to me is getting lost in all of this. So, like, as an adult and having a conversation with somebody and saying I'm upset and now I'm yelling and now I'm screaming, what I'm actually trying to communicate is getting lost in my yelling and screaming. So I learned to, like, even if, like, I was like, sometimes I do mess up, I might get a little angry, I might do a little yelling, but I learned to, like, more times, like, to sit and, like, try to, like, do my own, like how I teach kids emotional regulation, take a deep breath, or like do certain things to myself and like try to, because like stay inside my body, because like if I start to do big reactions, if I start yelling, if I start screaming or doing a whole lot of emotional stuff, you're not going to listen to what I'm actually trying to communicate to you or what I'm telling you that I need. You're not going to listen to that. You're just going to look at all the big stuff that I'm doing, all the yelling I'm doing, all the hand signals I'm doing, all the neck rolling I'm doing, like all of that extra stuff. You're not really going, you're going to shut down. You're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
So I learned that, because if with the kids, like if they did something ineffective and I'm coming at them yelling at them and woo woo, like they might not. What I'm trying to communicate to them is might get lost in my yelling and screaming.
Yeah, that was well put and beautiful. So where can the folks find you?
Like my Instagram stuff.
Yeah.
On my Instagram handles.
Well, did you want people to find you?
I mean, you can.
Mm-hmm.
My Instagram is private though.
Mm.
But. Hey, Twitter though is Twitter. On my social media is Ashiee Tashi. These are my personals. These are not my business things. So if you see some stuff on there, these are my personal accounts.
Yeah, mind your business, kid.
Like, don't be trying to find out where I work at and get me doxxed. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Do you want to spell it out further?
It's ASHIETOSHI. Easy.
Okay. And before we wrap this up, what's one thing that you think needs to change society-wise? That would be like a good, hey, keep this in mind.
Like I said, like we really need to teach, like even from children, that like people are different. Even if they look like you, they might be different from you. So do not assume that everybody is the same. You can't treat everybody the same. Like people are different, and it's okay to be different. Like it's okay. Like just like how people's skin color are different, everybody's brain works different, your heart might beat different, your lungs might work different, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not fair to assume that. And then, like, if somebody is different from you, it's not something wrong with them. They're just different. Like, it's not okay, like, what's wrong with them? Or that's wrong. It's not wrong. It's just different from what you normally do.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate you for pulling up on me, Ashiee. Thank you for being another one of the episodes from Mental Health Monday.
All right. Also, one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing.
Again.
I did want to come here and say, like, if anybody has a child, and like you see some things like they're missing milestones, or like they say you call their name and they might not respond all the time, or you see that when you try to get them to play with other kids, they might not play with other kids. Please take your child to get evaluated. Please do not wait. Like, don't let a pediatrician tell you your child's fine. Just like, if you feel strongly in your heart that your kid is missing something, like, or a puzzle piece is missing, or a milestone is missing, they're not doing something that you feel like they should do, please get your child evaluated, because early intervention is key. Like, the earlier you get your kid in and they get therapy and things like that, the easier things will be, like, honestly. So early intervention is key. Please, if you feel like anything is wrong, like if you feel like the smallest thing, just take your child to get evaluated.
Yeah, so time is key.
Yes, early intervention is key.
Are there places you could suggest for folks in the DMV area to go to?
That's like your primary care doctor,
okay,
honestly.
So
yeah.
Blatant.
Yeah, you can just go to your doctor and like, my kid's not, if I call Tony and he doesn't turn around, and sometimes I put him next to his brother to play and he doesn't even look at his brother, or he's 3 and he's not talking, and you know what I'm saying, go to your doctor and like, I would like to get my child evaluated for autism or Asperger's or anything on like, I want to get my child evaluated for taking everything on the spectrum. Like, you want to know, like, that's something you want to know, and the earlier you do it, the better.
Hey, well, appreciate you. Thank you. This has been a great episode. Shout out to Ashiee. I don't even know what we're gonna name this. I just know, like, you was spitting. That's all I know. Like, yo, she is spitting right now. All right, well, this has been another episode of Mental Health Monday. Thank you guys for coming out. Peace. See you next week.